One project that Rob mentioned that is becoming popular at the moment is the Zeitgeist Venus project. And I just want to put that as an example of how something can look really good on the surface, but when you dig a little bit deeper, it may be just what we were trying to avoid in the first place. Now, what is called the Illuminati, and I believe the strive to one-world governments started a lot before this, but the organisation called the Illuminati was started by Adam Weishaupt. Now, there were some documents that were exposed of his by one of his messengers who, fortunately or unfortunately, got struck by lightning. Now, unfortunately, it was not believed by any of the governments, and thus the conspiracy has gone on to grow and infiltrate itself into every government. But there were key points of the New World Order that were exposed in these documentations. And those key aims of the New World Order are the abolition of property, the abolition of private inheritance, the abolition of religion, the abolition of governments and of patriotism, the abolition of the family, and foremost the creation of a one-world government. Now, when you look into the Venus project, which is the solution, as it were, to the Zeitgeist movement that a lot of people in the alternative or truth movement are following right now, Jacques Fresco, the founder of the Venus project, primarily promotes a resource-based economy with no money, no barter, and no ability to acquire personal property. Now, this is an exact parallel to the New World Order aim for the abolition of property. A communism, if you will. He talks on his website of prefabricated modular homes. Now, the first question I would beg to ask is, how do you get one of these homes if you don't have money and you don't have a barter system? The only answer can be is that they're pre-allocated to you. The New World Order talks about the abolition of religion. The Zeitgeist has put out claims that can be very easily proven to be incorrect, that the religion or the faith of Christianity was nothing but a representation of previous religions, Isis, Horus, etc. And they've made a film which they've taken from Acharya S.'s book, The Christ Conspiracy, which has many incorrect claims about the figureheads of the world's religions. The representatives of all of these religions deny these claims. Even if they don't agree on their belief systems, they all agree on one thing, and that is that the claims made in Zeitgeist cannot be substantiated. So this, they believe that we need to abolish the monotheistic religions and come into a one world belief system. This is exactly the same as Adam Weishaupt's aim, for Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and Alice Bailey's aim for the abolition of the monotheistic religions and a new world system. The New World Order wants the abolition of governments. Well, in the Venus Project's resource-based economy, there will be no local governments or national governments whatsoever. He says, our vision of globalism empowers no corporate governing body. And that leaves nothing but a global governing body. Also, in Jacques Fresco's utopia, there will be no trading, there will be no shops. Your food and your electronic goods and your furniture would all be collected from a local centre that is, and he quotes, similar to a library. So who would be in charge of this? Well, Jacques Fresco says, this approach to global governance has nothing to do with the present aims of the elite. So Jacques Fresco admits that it will be a global governance that is in charge of the distribution of your food and your goods through these so-called library centres. Only he states that it will be somehow different to the world government planned by the elite. Now, the New World Order plans for the abolition of the family, and that is the only claim that I can find that does not have a direct parallel within the Venus Project. However, if there is no nationalities and there is no private property and we are all part of a global society, there becomes no identity, because one cannot identify themselves as from a certain background, a certain heritage, a certain race. And that in itself would lead to the erosion of the traditional family. Also, the question needs to be asked, in this a global utopia that's promoted with the Venus Project, what happens when the resources become scarce? Jacques Fresco has admitted in his essay on the Venus Project's website that he believes that overpopulation is a problem. So I would fear that the only solution to that would be to bring in sanctions on the population, which would contribute to the aim of the Illuminati for the abolition of the family. Creation of a one world government, that is the ultimate and primary aim of the New World Order. The Venus Project, by its own ambition, is global governance. So I would suggest that the two are suspiciously similar. Also, what's being asked or promoted to us is meditation and channeling, opening ourselves up to our higher selves, to our higher consciousness, all of which is a good thing if we're opening ourselves up to good influences. But there is more and more material asking us to go with our intuition rather than thinking critically. That if something comes into our path, it's because it was meant to be. It's because the good forces want us to find it. And yes, I do believe that there are such things as good coincidences. However, there is also a danger with relying solely on intuition, and that is, if we rely too much on intuition, it might be at the detriment to critical thinking. And all too often we see these teachers within the truth movement telling us that our intuition is going to guide us and that we need to think positively. But it's being aware of the dangers and being aware that there are deceivers that is going to ultimately help us. And now I'm going to hand over to Lisa, who's going to explain a little bit more about how these dangerous forces are infiltrating the spiritual movement.
Basically, I just want to warn people about various offers at Mind Body Soul events offering DNA activation. A friend of mine had this done. She paid £30 to £35 for it, and for months and months after, she felt very drained, very low energy and very negative a lot of the time. I also know somebody who had some healing session at Glastonbury, and they also felt some negative entity attachment to them that they are having trouble shaking off. So just basically look after your own energy, protect your own energy. Everybody has the power and the awareness to heal themselves. You don't need anybody else tampering with your energy, and you don't know what those people's intentions are. The DNA activation was run by the Babylon Mystery School, so just be very, very wary.
Right, in part 2 of this podcast, we're going to be covering a couple of other issues like human rights. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the Venus Project and its similarities between the Theosophical Society and Alice Bailey's teachings, etc. So see you in part 2.